Ein wunderschönes Hallo und willkommen zur zur nächsten Episode von Stanley Parable. Wir haben in der letzten Folge alles gemacht, was wir falsch machen hätten können, richtig machen können. Es gibt kein richtig falsch, es gibt keine Story, es gibt eine Story, es gibt kein Escape, es gibt ein Escape. Das ist die Beschreibung des Spiels. Die steht übrigens in der Videobeschreibung.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
Ich habe auf Spiel neu starten gedrückt. Leute, ich habe zwischen der Aufnahme ganz einfach auf Spiel neu starten gedrückt. Der sagt jetzt was komplett anderes als vorher. This is never the end. Never the end is never. This is never the end.
No, the orders were still missing. For now.
Will mich doch verarschen. I like work. I just hate my boss. Okay. Was steht da drauf? Kann ich nicht lesen. Sieh nochmal die Tasse. Who farted? Mhm. Okay. Ja, mal gucken, wo wir hinkommen. Be my Valentine? Foo? Awaiting input? Input received. Okay. Das ist merkwürdig.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Hey!
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping him coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
YOLO.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all.
Er redet ununterbrochen. Ich glaube, ich habe noch nie in meinem Leben so oft was gesagt, oder? Ich habe jetzt in meinem Let's Play schon mal was? Ich bin wirklich, das ist nicht gespielt. Ich habe das Spiel noch nie gespielt. Es ist, wenn man das mal spielt, krass, was da so vor sich geht.
Entered Stanley's head. One, he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner.
Darf ich immer wieder raus?
Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Jedes Mal restartet das Game und dann auf einmal nicht.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Was?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Jetzt? Also war ein Verrückter, der die Stadt gerannt ist? Dachte, er ist im Büro? Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Was sind jetzt andere passen? Nee, doch nicht.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ich weiß ehrlich gesagt nicht.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Ja, okay,
Feeling a
runtergehen wir jetzt
wave of
nicht.
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Vor allem waren die Computer jetzt wieder aus. Wollen wir uns an?
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all... Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Ja, und jetzt, machen wir jetzt? Ich würde sagen, wir laufen jetzt den Weg wieder, den wir vorhin hatten, den wir eigentlich gehen sollten.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Freilich haben wir die Strength to find out. So. Kameras.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Wo ist denn unser Büro? Was hatten wir für eine Nummer? Das ist nicht sortiert, das ist scheiße. Mit 327? Ja? Nein. Ich weiß es gerade ehrlich gar nicht. Was war denn unsere Nummer? Dann werden wir bestimmt nochmal dahin kommen. So, es war 427, oder? 427. Right? 427. 427. 427. Ja, 427. Haben wir 427? Ja, das sieht ziemlich nach unserem... Hier, das ist jetzt am oberen Rand in der Mitte. Hier. Ich kann nicht drauf zeigen. Das ist irgendwie komisch. Ich habe keinen Mauszeiger. Was tun eigentlich? Nein. Na gut. Wir fahren mal nach
This
oben.
mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ja, okay, boah, ja. Da oben war ein Knopf für der Nummer 4. Wollen wir die mal auf der Reihe drücken? 1. 2. Wo ist die 3? 3. Ist die 3? Wo ist die 3? Hier ist keine 3. Wo ist die 3? Da ist die 3. 3. Ja. Passiert jetzt irgendwas? Nee, oder? Noch eine 5. Das ist noch eine 5. Ja, da ist noch eine 5. Drück mal auch noch auf die 5, oder? Hätte ich gesucht. So, 5. Irgendwas passiert? Nee. Offline, offline, offline. Kann ich das irgendwie online machen? Okay. Bin echt verwirrt jetzt. Jetzt haben wir die gleiche Story wieder, das Ende, oder was? Haben wir jetzt das Standardende? Soll ich auf Nein? Drück jetzt auf On. Wir machen einfach mal was anderes.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going. What all this means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go.
Ich weiß nicht, was ich tun soll.
I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully?
Ich warte.
Another choice. Make it count.
Hat mir Spaß gemacht, Stanley,
It's
dich
all the same
kennengelernt
to
zu
me,
haben.
all a part of the joke.
6,
And believe me, I will be
5,
laughing at every
4,
second of your inevitable
3,
life from the
2,
moment we fade in until the
1.
moment I say happily ever after.
Hätte ich es wieder ausschalten sollen? Loading. Willkommen zurück. Ja, es war mal eine längere Runde. Sehr interessantes Ende an der Stelle. Mal sehen, wie es weitergeht. Danke, dass ihr zugeschaut habt und vergesst nicht den Daumen nach oben, wenn ihr noch irgendwas anders gemacht hättet oder was anders wisst, was wir tun können. Schreibt es in die Kommentare und wir sehen uns dann zur nächsten Folge wieder. Ciao.